7. Good morning, BBC Radio. Kent, Claire McDonald and Matt Davison till 9 this morning. A South African girl who suffered horrific burns has been spending the festive period in Kent this year, thanks to the woman who saved her. 16-year-old Dora Makona was 7 months old when she lost her hands and most of her face and suffered damage to large amounts of the rest of her body in a fire in a squatter camp. 53-year-old Bronwyn Jones from St Nicholas at Wade in Thanet was so moved she started a charity called Children of Fire to help Dora and other children like her. She's been telling her story to Graham Cook.
I was born in the village of St Nicholas at Wade and I went to Simon Langton Girls' Grammar School in Canterbury, so this is my hometown. I moved to South Africa about 19 years ago when my son Tristan was a baby, and I've lived there most of the time since. And now my life is spent helping badly burned children.
How did you first meet Dora?
There was a small article in the newspaper, and with my toddler son and his little friend Tabega, we set off to visit her because we knew this badly injured girl needed someone to care.
What was her story?
Dora had been left alone in a shack with a candle. The candle fell over. The shack, which is a little house about the size of a garden shed, had burned down to the ground. She'd been denied treatment at 3 hospitals where they assumed that she wouldn't live. And so by the time she got to hospital, she'd lost her eyelids, her nose, her lips, her fingers. She was burned on the chest and she had a hole in her skull. And no one expected her to make it. But this little girl has got such an incredible spirit to survive. That's why she's here.
And so you formed a relationship with her and eventually were able to help her. How did that happen?
Well, we were visiting Dora regularly, and one day a nurse phoned me up and she said, you know they're going to remove her eyes. And I said, why? And she said, to save money because the dressings are too expensive. And that's when our relationship with Dora changed, because I knew if you took her eyes out, you couldn't put them back in. And so I wrote articles to try and get her help, and I wrote articles in Britain, and that's where the general public responded. And that's Dora having a chuckle. And that's where the general public responded. And we managed to put Dora through 24 major operations with the kindness of the British public in British hospitals. And then lots of other children were helped after her.
You helped Dora. How did it burgeon from there?
Well, one of the advantages of being on radio or in the media is people learn about what you're doing, and that's good for tolerance of disability and disfigurement, but that's how other children came to us. So it's literally hundreds of children now, very, very complicated children. They arrive on the doorstep, they get referred by email, they come from Zimbabwe, they come from the Congo. They just arrive and I look them up and down and work out what we can fix, and then we set out to stare the surgeons in the eye and make it happen.
They're all in some way damaged, but what, if anything else, do they have in common? Is there some thread that causes the accidents of which they are victims?
Well, in South Africa we have 4 million people in the squatter camps. That's open flame, fuel sources, heating sources. That is a big danger. But also, sadly, in South Africa, 1 in 3 of the burned children are burned intentionally. I think it's a country... Dora. I think it's a country with post-traumatic stress, and people don't have the money and they don't have the facilities to get help when they're psychologically disturbed, and they take it out on the weakest around them and hurt them.
Bronwyn Jones there from St Nicholas at Wade, telling Dora's story, incredible story, and incredible insight really into what goes on in South Africa. And you kind of wonder why she wasn't in the New Year's Honours list. What an amazing woman. There is more about Bronwyn's charity online. You can find that out at www.firechildren.org.
OK,